Next up, we have a new writer. Her name is Allison Jackson. She's a native Queens-based writer of prose, a master astrologer, designer, and world traveler. She's a believer of embracing suffering and travels back and forth between the meadow of the flowers and Hades. Let's bring up Allison Jackson.
Hi everyone. For a long time I lost my writer's voice. Just a lot of stuff got in the way. I started writing and I literally lost that voice. Like, it was writer's block for like maybe 15 years until January of 2015. I had a nervous breakdown, like the real deal times, fetal position on the floor, like just messed up. So these two things were written with a small space heater, a door wide open in 25-degree weather, and chain smoking back in Newports. Okay. Hot shower, excellent water pressure. My chest feels concave with sharp adrenaline knives lodged into the space where my heart used to be. I look down at my months unshaven 31-year-old body. It is a boarded up abandoned temple with ivy covering its outer walls in the midst of overgrown weeds. My femininity is mummified, non-functioning. A thin stream of blood slides down my inner thigh and onto the plastic bath mat, the red dissipating and disappearing down the drain, the only evidence that I am still a female incarnate. I wish my cervical dam would break, releasing enough blood and uteral lining to fill this Pepto-Pink tub so I can submerge myself in it. By doing this, I can easily access the dimension of existence that will enable me to return to the womb from which I was expelled, and I can start this whole thing over again. No such luck today. I squeeze an artificially sweet-smelling drugstore shower gel onto a puff and wash away the red from all the crevices. I turn off the shower and mourn another wasted men's. I sit silently and ask the higher self of the man I once loved. Is this how I'm to be punished? You impregnate another woman while I slowly bleed to death? One of the knives in my chest turns, causing tears to rise. The Zoloft will ensure that they never quite make it to my tear ducts. I turn off the water, step out of the shower, and wrap myself in a towel that reeks of stale cigarettes as everything else does in this apartment. I blankly stare at my reflection in the fog mirror over the sink. Saturn and Libra in the first house, 6 degrees away from my ascendant, on the heels of Pluto. Lessons in self-worth, debilitated relationships, and pathological production of crisis and anxiety. Really? I chose this configuration of planetary energies? I run a brush through my sopping wet hair and see 2 flashes of gray antagonizing me. Saturn, you are a motherfucker. Yes, fuck you. I don't care. You are a malefic planet. But you have a wicked sense of humor, don't you? Your energy has shown up in some pretty interesting places. Not only was his birth chart under your rulership, but by transit, you decided to put my ascendant in a headlock as he and I parted ways permanently. That was a real blast. And natally, in my first house, spending the first 6 years of my life in and out of Lenox Hill Hospital, very romantic, thank you. Here's the universal truth. Pluto is the representative of the underworld, transformation and transmutation. This archetypal energy was embedded into every cell of my human form. I will not drown in the river Styx. I am here as the guardian and the gatekeeper. Psychic attackers and life force vampires, beware. I see every cell of you. When the time has come, you will be submerged in the glorious light of Archangel Michael for purification of any old vibrations you carry from Earth. Shapeshifters will not tread on me. And I don't need to wear black crystals to ward off negativity. You will be blown out a glass window like the poor priest was in The Exorcist. So you see, I came into this life with a hefty responsibility, so I won't allow for ego-based human interactions to interfere, well, most of the time. Okay, well, off to my AM commute on New York City Transit to rot amongst the rest of the proletariat. Commence the sobbing about not having children or an engagement ring.
I'm serious. Next up, we have the very talented and amazing Jeanne Marie Boes. Let's give it up for Jeanne Marie Boes. And I have here is Jeanne Marie Boes. There's definitely a place for a female singer to grab the limelight, and with songs like this, Jeanne Marie could be the one to watch. And that review is by MRU Magazine. Visit her website at www.jeannebose.com. I had the pleasure to collaborate with her at one of her open mics at Angelica in Woodside. She's gracious, she's soulful, and you're going to love what she brings. Thank you.
This first song, if it's okay, if I play cover? Yeah. Okay. Life has been going really well for me lately, so figured I'd sing some happy songs. Anyone who knows
Next up, we have a special guest appearance. It is the rebel poet of Queens, Audrey Dimola. Who has single-handedly done more for Queens writers, poets, and performers than anybody that I've heard. So, Audrey is the self-proclaimed rebel poet of Queens. A born and raised Astoria, Long Island City writer, performer, curator, host, wilderness guide, educator, and community organizer, and a unicorn. Her recent media credits include the Art of Poetry Show on QPTV, Queens Public Television, the Gillette Venus Empowering Global, #Use Your And campaign, and a New York One interview about her second poetry and prose book, Traversals. She's currently working towards a site-specific installation of multimedia work. Go slowly, see miracles. Sounds awesome. Before her 30th birthday this summer. All right. She will debut, count me in, her new performance at Under the Influence, the inspirational legacy of a king from Queens, with an Astoria graph artist, Louis K.R. Crone Gasparo, on April 16th at the Queens Collective. Find her online at audreydimola.com and on Instagram at Audrey Leopard. Let me bring up the infamous Audrey Dimola, rebel poet of Queens.
Thank you, Joan, especially through my dark times, for being there for me. And I won't forget those conversations that we had. This is a new piece. Look how nice it is to have sunshine in here. I remember the blue sky. The nothing has been chasing me for as long as I can remember. I remember one of the first moments stuck in my head like a pin, the memory. The brown living room rug, daylight from the two main windows of our house in Long Island City. Memory changes every time you recollect, you know that, right? It shifts. I set up my toys to play the way I always had, and then just couldn't remember how or why. Where were the stories? What was the point? I had semi-frequent bouts with visions of the rest of my life zipping by. Calendar pages flying off, white shades snapping up a la Sylvia Plath in the bell jar we read in 12th grade, which convinced all of us we might be struggling with the same. Depression, bipolar, anxiety, mental illness. These pillars of modern society we all now just learn to live or die with. You watch bright lights fade or extinguish abruptly. Why, we wonder? Didn't he know there was help? Didn't he remember how much he was loved? I remember the blue sky. For me, love and identity and love are inextricable. I love saying and writing that word. It feels like a tangle, so appropriate I can see one letter knotted to the next, squirming for release. Inextricable. Has anyone ever told you you could swap pain for your identity? Has anyone ever told me? But nothing has been chasing me for as long as I can remember. The big, bombastic heart, the neon lights, the colorful patterns, the Cheshire Cat smile, the climbing trees, the loving too hard, the crashing into myself and myself and myself, cornered, the hall of mirrors refracted so much it reflects nothing. nothing. Who can I be? The big, bombastic heart beating like a bass drum strapped to some wildly plumed marcher who doesn't want to march anymore. Drops his sticks and falls down flat on the field on the day of the big game. Shaves his head, gets tattoos, learns what the inside of a jail cell looks like. Alone. Scratching words into a thickly painted bench, words that lose hope after a while. Words that lose meaning after a while. I still remember the blue sky. Illness is strange because it makes us work, so we feed to keep it. Identity hollow as an alcove, the faux holiness of pain fills it. This is what I give myself to. If I am not this ache, what am I? Stories. I want to fly to a place where I don't have to be a story. I can just be me. Whatever that is. And I see myself in the shining leaves of the jungle, and I am perfect with sweat and a little blood, and I am alive because I am moving towards this. Some archaic relic buried within myself in teeming paradise, some wild godfire presenting me back to myself, some tan goddess made partially of orchids and Bengal tiger stripes saying, here, this is who you are. You are not story anymore. You are real. And I would sink to the earth and cry and take the ground and the sand in my hands and the flowers and the plants, and I would put my tongue and teeth on them under the blue sky, and I would become that something else. No, I would just be. I still remember the blue sky. Maybe that's what I always remember about it, the thick, jungly fog made of sweat and dissolving language. I don't want to be this pain anymore. I don't want to become, I just want to be. I don't want to be afraid of myself, of my genetics, that living room pin of window daylight pushed into my brain. It broke something, it cut off something. Something I'm feeding myself, something I'm doing or not doing, something I do with my legs. I think it's called running, but now that doesn't work anymore, too. I have been chased by the nothing my entire life. My brain, it spins into a coil, snapping at my fingers' blood when I try to move toward anything complete. My pain is bellowing like a snake, ecstatically unhinged, open mouthed, snap back, lucid. Even my body can't remember how to belong to itself, how to please itself, how to sit with itself, look at itself, really see. What can you be, girl? I'm always looking past you, seeing only maddening strings of letters. My eyes are scissors. I shred you to pieces. I'm sitting in pre-kindergarten in Long Island City in some light-filled room with plastic safety scissors cutting my future self up. I don't need to be a grown-up. I don't need to have a heart. I can just be a story. I can last forever. Hiding in the bottom of the wooden loft, light splitting in, pretending to be Peter Pan. I remember the blue sky. Somewhere everything goes to pieces. Doesn't it? I have watched it take my father. When I was a child, I didn't even realize how it took my aunt and my father's mother too. Even how Nana kept her fireball suffused, clinging to solace in rooms like I do, never coming out. Hands are scissors, slicing up the pieces. I didn't know what being in the hospital meant. Dreading going to work. Burning a barrel of leaves in the backyard, black plumes of smoke, firemen. I didn't know, but the pieces are there in me. Upstate trips, nose pressed to glass. We called the autumn fog the nothing as we watched it eat the Catskills. Everything is a metaphor laid to ground for future use. What will be my future use? My present use? Today, I walked around this house that is not mine, and I opened all the curtains. And I'm laying here under a blanket, not working, not going anywhere. The nothing has been chasing me for my entire life, for as long as I can remember. What can I remember? That there are windows in my chest I still need to open, so I can peer in and watch that little girl on the brown rug slowed to no motion in front of her toys. Whisper to her, you may forget how to do this, but you will always remember. And that is not just a story. That is real, just like you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Joe. I got books.
She's going to hold the rebel Howard for nothing. Wow. Thank you, Audrey. You touched us all. All right, next we have Lucy Torres. Lucy Torres is a writer, poet, artist, and activist based out of Queens, New York. Lucy is a 2013 LaGuardia Performing Arts Center grantee. She has been featured at Inspired Word Series and recently showcased her art piece at local projects Yourself exhibit. Let's bring Lucy Torres.
I get very nervous before I go up. Audrey has seen me. So I wrote this poem as I was turning 30. That was 4 years ago. And a lot has transpired since then. I was diagnosed with endometriosis, and I've gone through hell and back. And thereafter, I had to go through this really painful surgery, and I'm still going through the aftermath of that. My first poem is called Ode to Endometriosis. You stripped me of the many things I never imagined could be stolen. Ever humbling and enlightening, you, endometriosis, are the teacher of all things unimaginable. I'm different because of you. And sometimes, admittedly, I feel shame in not being who I was or what I should have been. But what I am now, all that I am who I was always supposed to be. All has been redefined and rearranged. Definitions of normalcy reconsidered and replaced. Herein lies the essence of me, what I was to know through the harshness of a cruel reality. I am strong enough to endure, unwavering in the face of pain and disillusion, regardless of fear and uncertainty. Heartbreak and health failures, I am still here. You didn't strip me so much as you've given me the gift of discovery. The discovery of my resiliency. What could only be revealed through the obstacles that left a taste of broken in my mouth. And at the age of 30, the rediscovery. Ultimately, I'm still the hopeful, joyful person that I've always been, despite it all.
Humbled by the opportunity to participate with such empowered women. But not only that, I actually feel incredibly empowered myself and sharing a very personal story of mine that I don't usually talk about. And I think a lot of women are not able to articulate a lot of the struggles that they endure. So hearing everybody and having them talk openly gave me the power to speak openly about my truth. So.
What can I say about Joan Becht Willette? That I adore this woman, truly. The light coming out of her, the love for people, for her fellow woman and man, for art. Being a part of the Enchanted Goddess Revue was something I'll really never forget. I was able to debut a brand new piece in that safe space and really feel like this full room of people were hearing everything I was saying and connecting to me.